Emily gripped the railing of the observation deck aboard the Celestial Voyager, her knuckles white as she stared at the swirling blue and green sphere below, Earth. Home, the planet that had spawned her species and countless others, now gleaming like a jewel against the black velvet of space. Beside her stood Erling, a tall Norwegian with ice-blue eyes that reflected the planet's oceans. He was part of the diplomatic corps, just like Emily, and together they were tasked with an impossible mission, convincing the Galactic Council that humanity deserved a seat among the stars. "They're terrified of us," Erling said quietly, his accent thick with concern. "Did you see the way Ambassador Threxus recoiled when you mentioned the wildlife back home?" Emily let out a dry laugh. "I only mentioned mosquitoes. I didn't even get to sharks or bears." The truth was undeniable. Since humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel 5 years ago, their introduction to the galactic community had been nothing short of catastrophic, at least from a public relations standpoint. Every other intelligent species in the known universe had evolved on worlds that made Earth look like a death trap designed by a sadistic god. The Valorians came from a planet with a gravity of 0.3 g, where the most dangerous predator was a creature roughly equivalent to Earth's rabbits. The Krillians evolved in the peaceful depths of a moon ocean, never knowing what it meant to be hunted. Even the warrior caste Dronthi, feared across 17 systems, hailed from a world where the apex predators were plant-eaters with mild territorial tendencies. And then there was Earth, a planet where 70% of the surface was covered in water, filled with creatures that could swallow a human whole, where the land teemed with animals equipped with venom, claws, fangs, and hunting strategies that would make a military tactician weep with envy, where the weather itself could kill hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes that reshaped continents, where microscopic organisms waged invisible wars inside every living thing. The Galactic Council had reviewed Earth's geological and biological records with what could only be described as horror. "I still can't believe they asked if our children survived to adulthood," Emily muttered, remembering the previous day's council session. "As if we just threw them outside to fend for themselves." Erling chuckled despite the situation. "Well, we did tell them about Australian wildlife. That probably didn't help." The council meeting was scheduled to reconvene in 3 hours. Emily and Erling had been given one last chance to make their case. Humanity wanted to join the Galactic Trade Network, to share in the knowledge and resources of 1,000 worlds. But the other species saw them as something else entirely, survivors of an impossible world, hardened by evolution into something dangerous. "What if we're looking at this wrong?" Erling said suddenly, turning to face Emily. His eyes had that sharp look she'd come to recognize. He'd had an idea. "Go on. They think we're dangerous because of where we come from. What if we showed them that's exactly why they need us?" Emily raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening. Every species in the council evolved in paradise, relatively speaking. They've never had to fight for survival the way we have. They've never had to innovate under pressure, adapt or die, overcome impossible odds." Erling's voice grew passionate. "But the universe isn't as safe as they think. There are threats out there, the void anomalies, the Cascade regions, unexplored territories where their gentle species wouldn't last a day." Understanding dawned on Emily's face. "And we would, exactly. We don't ask them to accept us despite our deadly planet. We ask them to accept us because of it. Earth didn't make us monsters, it made us survivors, problem solvers, explorers who laugh in the face of death, because we've been doing it since birth." 3 hours later, Emily and Erling stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was a marvel of technology, with representatives from 47 species arranged in a semicircle, each in environmental pods suited to their biology. Ambassador Threxus, a crystalline being from Luminos 7, spoke first. "Humans Emily Chen and Erling Nordstrom, this council has deliberated extensively regarding your application. The consensus remains unchanged. Your species is simply too volatile, too dangerous. Your world has made you into something we cannot trust." Emily stepped forward. "You're right." A wave of surprised chittering and humming filled the chamber. Erling suppressed a smile. "Earth is the deadliest planet ever documented by this council." Emily continued. "It kills indiscriminately through weather, animals, disease, even the plants. We learned to walk upright while running from predators. We learned to think while figuring out which foods wouldn't poison us. We learned cooperation because alone, we died. She paused, letting her words sink in. But that's not a weakness. That's our strength. Last month, the science vessel Pax Lumina encountered a radiation storm in the Cascade region. The crew, all Valorians, panicked. They froze. Two human engineers aboard that ship fixed the shields while being bombarded with radiation. That would kill most species. They knew it might kill them too. They did it anyway. Both survived, and so did the Valorian crew. Erling took over. 3 weeks ago, a Krillian colony on Thetan 9 was threatened by a volcanic eruption. Your evacuation protocols required 6 days. Humans organized and executed a complete evacuation in 32 hours. 0 casualties. You don't need to fear us, Emily said. You need us. Because the universe you're exploring, it's not gentle. It's not kind. And sooner or later, you're going to encounter something that your paradise worlds didn't prepare you for. When that happens, you'll want humans at your side, the species crazy enough to call the deadliest planet in the universe home. The chamber fell silent. Finally, a small amphibious creature, Ambassador Quillix of the Marshlands Coalition, spoke. Perhaps we have been thinking about this incorrectly. Erling and Emily exchanged glances. The human delegates make a compelling argument, Quillix continued. Their world forged them into survivors. And perhaps in this vast and uncertain universe, that is precisely what the Galactic Council needs. The vote that followed wasn't unanimous, but it was enough. As they left the chamber, Earth's first official representatives to the Galactic Council, Emily turned to Erling with a grin. Not bad for a couple of apes from a death world, Erling laughed, the sound echoing through the crystalline corridors. Wait until we tell them about winters in Norway. Behind them, through the viewport, Earth continued its eternal rotation, beautiful, terrible, and home.